Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's your buddy, the 14th Prime, one more time. And so I was doing my homework and I was looking at the original SUNBOW charts because I got interested in trying to figure out who's supposed to be what size. Because if you look at the comics, Fort Max and Scorponok were actually the same size as everybody else. Again, mass shifting in the world of Transformers. So with this whole Devastator thing, and a lot of people love it, a lot of people hate it, whatever. But the whole conversation of what about him versus Omega Supreme came up. We all know the episode, The Secret of Omega Supreme from the G1 episodes. I actually did a stop motion on it like 2 years ago and I got my legend scale Devastator. But here is the SUNBOW chart, which shows that the only two cities back then was Metroplex and Triptychon. If you look right there in the center, Devastator and Omega Supreme were indeed close in height. So, yes, the Titan that we got a few years ago was just that, just an oversized version of a great toy. In that show, in the Siege Netflix Earthrise series, Omega Supreme was huge. Scorponok was huge. That's why we got such a big Omega Supreme to follow up with Scorponok being that following year's release or vice versa. Either way, both toys are absolutely amazing. I did own the original Omega Supreme when I was a child, and he scaled with Triptychon, honestly, because they both walked. They were motorized toys. So now, fast forward, 40 years later, now, we're getting supersized versions of said toys. But the question is, are we going to get an Omega Supreme that's like combiner size because of this whole commotion? Like, I'm starting to wonder if, with all these changes and new people coming in and getting fired from Hasbro, the direction, granted, everything that they have listed for next year, I'm sure will still come out. But my question is, what about the future? What about the next line? Like, we know we've got this Wild Kingdom line coming out where there's an animal and a vehicle and they combine and whatever. We'll see that in March or April. We've got Superion being redone. We've got Bruticus being redone, which I'm 99.999% sure those two are also going to go back to the Combiner Wars slash Legacy Menasor slash 86 Devastator height, which to me, I think that's great. I always thought scale was something that was very important. Like before Siege came out, or even I'll take it back even like say 10 years ago, when you would buy, you would have like a 8-inch Optimus, but your Megatron was 6 inches, or vice versa, or you could get a Starscream, but the other two Seekers weren't the same height. And that always used to bother me, or like look at G1 Optimus and G1 Megatron. Nowhere's near the articulation and like elbow joints and swivels and ratchets and things that we have now. But they were close, but not really. But then you got, then mind you, I'm speaking about 1986 and 87, 88. When you got that Devastator set as a child, well, me, as a child, it was kind of disappointing that when you formed Devastator, he was maybe 2 inches bigger than Optimus. Now, back then, yes, it was an amazing toy. It was fun. It didn't stand up well. I still have it. I have the yellow one. I have the original movie version. And then my oversized Devastator. And I think I have one more. Oh, and a Legend Scale one. But anyway, it was kind of disappointing back then. So fast forward to now. Now we have core class toys. Now we have, like core class combiners. Look at Dino King. And people were going nuts over Dino King. Or, Volcanicus. But those core toys go with core class, with your core class toys, with your core set. So core class Devastator or core class Volcanicus or core class Dino King looks great next to core class Optimus or next to core class Megatron. If you take that core class combiner and put him on your regular shelf with the rest of them, it looks stupid. So then now, you know what I mean? Like, which was a genius move on Hasbro's part, because then that made me go and buy these smaller core class versions of Starscream and Megatron and Optimus, so that it did look scale with the Arc, or that it did look scale with Tripticon, or with a Titan like Omega Supreme. Those toys, I think Titans were made for core class. They look perfect on them. Like if you take a regular size toy and you put him on Omega Supreme's track, which, I mean, it's not bad. Don't get me wrong. Again, I did another stop motion of the very first episode of G1, and I used Bumblebee and Wheeljack on my Omega Supreme, and it came out great. I thought it looked great, but had I used core class versions of those toys, it probably would have been a lot better. Like, and that's another reason why I was a little upset when I found out that core class was not necessarily going away, but not going to be in stores as much as they, used to be. Like, I'm still having a problem trying to find 86 Frenzy. And I'm not paying $40 on eBay for a $9 toy when, I'll just wait. It's not that serious. Like, I have a Frenzy, but it's just not that same magnitude. And I love 86 Rumble. But again, I'm not paying $40 for a $9 toy. It's bad enough that, we're paying $10 for a core class when indeed it should be like $5.99. And then I was watching a video earlier where someone, Dennis Molden, was referring to how with the 86 Devastator, the difference between the Voyager and the Deluxe is a ratchet joint. So because of that, the price point went up $14, like $12 to $14. And like, that's crazy. So you're telling me that, and this is not about Devastator, because I just made a video about not complaining about him. I'm just saying, as far as toy wise, a ratchet can cost you an extra $10 when purchasing a toy. Like that seems a little out there for me. Just to have a ratchet, so it's wild. I don't understand the pricing, but yet I'm still a collector. I'll still buy it. I'll still buy whichever toy, whatever, at any price, almost, except for $40 for Frenzy, which I'm kind of, I don't know. I don't know. I'm going to wait like another month to see if I see it in Target. If not, I'll pull the trigger. But as of right now, it's not a necessity. But anyway, it's just the whole scale thing is just, and like, okay, did anybody buy core class Spike or Daniel? Because I bought two of them, one for Spike, one for Daniel. If you stand him next to RC, he should be at her waist. Or like Springer and Hot Rod and Ultra Magnus, somebody was in my comments talking about how Studio Series is supposed to be screen accurate or cartoon accurate and so forth and so on. Well, if we are really going for accuracy, then scale does really count. It really does. And I was saying earlier in my previous video, yes, Menasor and Devastator are the same height in like video games or on like certain iterations of Transformers, but at some point we're gonna have to like take it. It's basically what I'm saying is it's up to us, the consumer. If you want an oversized toy, buy an oversized toy. If you want one that scales with your masterpieces, then buy a masterpiece. At the end of the day, it's our money. It's your buddy, 14th Prime.